Hello and welcome to your post-match raw here on the home of the 20-time champions, Anfield Index, podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Crystal Palace 2, Liverpool 2, in the Community Shield from Wembley, which Palace then won on penalties, are Jim Boardman and Karl Matchett. Jim, we were just talking briefly before the mics went live here, and it's a bit of a sort of numb feeling because you're not really sure what you do with this. We know it's a glorified friendly. We know it's a chance to finalise preparations. However, that is tempered by the fact that apart from not winning a thing which is available, which is always annoying, the sort of consolation of it being a last run through before the season is not there either, because we do have these big gaps in the midfield and defence that we've seen in pre-season as lads are getting used to each other and their positions. And it's just not altogether edifying. Doesn't do to get too upset about it, Jim, but where do you sit with this just currently with the game just over about 10 minutes?
I mean, it is, I'm trying to tell myself it is just a pre-season game. It would be, Liverpool v Dortmund at Anfield or something normally if we hadn't just happened to win the league. And but at the same time, the Charity Shield, it was, I think someone said it's the anniversary of Kenny signing for the club today, and I think his first game for the club would have been the Charity Shield back in the day. But back at that time though, when it ended all level at the end of 90, you just went around the pitch together with each team doing your lap of honour, because they just like, there was no penalty shootout. You just sort of, you split it. You had it for 6 months each or whatever. I'd say bring that back because it's less depressing than what happened today, because it is a pre-season game. It doesn't matter. I would rather us make loads of mess ups today and come away empty-handed, only on penalties as well, I have to hasten to add. So it wasn't over the actual course of the real football, if you like. So there's that side to it, but then the other side to it is, look, it was a chance, as you said, to get that first piece of silverware in the cupboard, to show the rest of the Premier League what we're about, to remind them that we've not gone away. And I think another way is to say, look, we're bringing 4 new players in to make the debuts, and they're already gelling well. And I think, you know what, if we'd have just done an hour today, we'd have probably been able to say some of that stuff. It was the worry what went on after that. And I am trying to think to myself, well, were we playing it like a pre-season game? I think there would have been more effort for some of those players for that last half an hour than maybe there would have been, than there was in this game. It did have that pre-season feel. But then on the other hand, if that was the case, I'm not sure why some of the players stayed on longer than 60 minutes, because there could have been changes made earlier. So it's a disappointment, and there's no way around it. It feels disappointing. It's kind of like the League Cup in a way. Like, if you win the League Cup, you're obviously made up. You want to take it seriously. If you don't win it, oh, well, never mind. It's not the end of the world. It's only the League Cup. If you go out early in the League Cup, you're not really bothered, are you? But there is that little feeling that you say that to yourself, but you think, oh, we've missed out on a trophy. And it's the least important trophy of the whole lot. It doesn't matter at all, really. But we've only got a few days, really. We've got a lot of problems to sort out. And I think that's the big worry. Not so much about missing out on silverware. It's sort of, we're not ready. We don't look ready yet for a whole season.
That's the interesting thing, isn't it? And Carl, I bring you in on that because you will have done, and I've listened to them, yourself and Dave done several chats about how things might look, how things are shaping up for Liverpool, the different areas of the team and so on. And the squad composition as is, we're all very enthused by the additions, no doubt about it. But you could say that over the course of that game there today, we saw the incredible enhancements that have been made that are full of potential and excitement. But you could also see that there is some glaring issues there around the squad composition too, and that they were equally apparent, with the caveat that, yes, the lad that everyone's decided is suddenly a number 6 after one season playing there is absent today and will be absent for the next game. But it shouldn't really have that much of a knock-on effect. It seems to me, and seems, I think, to an awful lot of people as we watched that today, that it is, like Jim said, that we're not quite there yet. We're not quite ready yet. We haven't had that levelling off that pre-season is supposed to bring in terms of doing the boring things correct and doing the simple things right.
Well, I thought it was quite interesting that Jim said, it would have been fine if we'd have played an hour and then called it a day, because actually I thought that's what we did.
Yeah,
Sadly, Palace carried on a bit longer than us, obviously. But no, I do think that there was quite a noticeable physical drop off. I know on the game itself, the coverage was kind of equating it to Ekitike leaving the pitch, but I think it was more a general upping of the fatigue levels, let's say, in that second half. There was a lot of running. It was quite quick in the first half, the play, and we didn't really do things too well on the ball in that second half, or at least for the latter part of the second half. So I do think that is a big part of it. And we did speak about this at the start of preseason, myself and Guy, and then myself and Dave as well. Usually, like going back a few years, maybe we would generally have expected to see maybe sort of 7 preseason friendlies, something like that. But most of this group have only really been able to play 4, plus then the Community Shield today, because obviously we did have 5. 2 of them were on the same day, so nobody was playing in 2 games there. So it was only a maximum of 4 friendlies and then today. So it's not loads, really. I did wonder a little bit about that. Not from a technical perspective, but definitely from a match fitness perspective. You can see a few of them out there, like McAllister when he came on, for example. Obviously, he's playing a bit of catch up, and he probably looks like he could still do with another 2 friendlies. So, yeah, definitely a good bit to work on, and maybe that's kind of going to feed into not seeing as many rotations, let's say, in the early part of the season. The people who have already been playing sort of 60 to 90 minutes in the last 2 weeks might have to keep doing that until the rest can catch up a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think an awful lot of people were very excited by the lineup at the start. For the record, Liverpool today went with Alisson, who most people didn't expect to see after his absence from squad activity for personal reasons, with Frimpong right back, Kanate, Van Dijk and Kirkes on the far side, Jones, Szoboszlai and Wirtz, with Salah, Gakpo and Ekitike. And of course, it's not a 4-3-3 as such. It's a sort of a different shape to that. But that was the personnel that began the game. And I think an awful lot of people are very excited by that. And it does look quite strong on paper. You go to our bench then today, and it's Mamardashvili, Endo, McAllister, who, as Karl rightly points out, is very much on his way back and nowhere near there yet. Chiesa, who may or may not be around, Elliott, who may or may not be around, Robertson, who it looks will be around, because today there was no sign of our Greek left back, who there are rumours about being on his way out. Trenioni, Ben Doak and Young Rio made up the subs bench today. We'll just talk about Liverpool as it happens, but Karl, I'll just stay with you briefly and then go back to Jim to get his take on it as well, to talk about Crystal Palace, because we're looking there today at them with their captain, and he is very much being linked with Liverpool, has been linked with Liverpool. It seemed to go a bit dead and then come back to life again in the last 24 hours with rumours of ongoing talks. Oddly timed, I thought. Maybe there's something hinky about that. But regardless, they are a team who have given themselves the very rare experience of breaking into winning a trophy in the domestic situation, and they've kept the majority of their side together. They had Henderson, who is, I think in the very top echelon of keepers. Richards, Lacroix, Gay, Munoz, who was very effective getting down that right side today. Wharton, who has been the apple of many people's eyes, especially it seemed Liverpool at the start. Kamada, Mitchell, Sarr, Etse and Mateta, all of whom, those last few names mentioned, were very effective in their own way. This is a very strong squad, Karl, and they rounded out with Benitez, Lerma, who came on. They've got Klein there, Hughes, who came on and did well, Edouard, Sosa, who came on, Esse, Devaney, who came on to great effect, and Solomon Cardenas. Tell me a little bit about how you see them shaping up this season. I think it was Fletch and Ali McCoist were having a little chat there, and Fletch was positing to Ali that perhaps they might be the Nottingham Forest of this season, which seemed a little bit fanciful. But where do you see Crystal Palace in terms of the current makeup of that squad? How do you see them achieving this season? Do you see them managing to juggle European football and still stay fairly solid in the Prem?
So I think they look really good. And to be fair, I think they did make the point that the most important thing for Palace was they kept the squad together. Like, nobody's left this summer they didn't want to leave. There's a couple of free transfers at the end of the contract. A couple of kids are gone. Nothing really major. So they probably wanted one or two more in, but Eze has so far stayed and Marguerite has so far stayed. So whether or not those two things continue to be the case, at the minute, those are really, really big positive things. I think Wharton would have stayed this summer anyway, just because, a few injuries last year. He's already said he wants to have a really strong year with Palace. So those three are obviously massive for them. Even if they lose one, I think that they probably are okay to push on again. I think Palace can go top half this season. Usually, I would say, especially for a club playing their first campaign in Europe, that would impact domestically. But if they end up going into the Conference League, as we saw last season, it's made up of a bunch of crap. So they should be able to not be too stressed out about it, not really have too many absolutely soul-destroying matches in the first half of the season in that giant league of like Greek 7th placed sides and Liechtenstein's 4th finest and that kind of thing. So I think they'll be all right, to be honest. They had a bad start to the season last year, but they were one of the better teams thereafter, after the first 2-3 months, whatever it was. They finished 12th last year. I think they can finish top half and still do decent bits in Europe, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Jim, I'll just give you a chance to speak about them as well. Obviously, we'll come across individuals over the course of discussing the way the game broke down today. But just in terms of the opposition today overall, would you be similarly positive about their chances for the season to come as Karl?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I don't know how good the depth is and whether injuries will kick on later on, but they do seem to have good talent at a young level as well. And, people like Klein, I can't believe he's still playing, although I've not actually seen him play for a while. But yeah, it looks a strong squad. It's full of players that other clubs are linked with, which tells you a lot about the kind of talent. You think about all of those players that they've held on to. Most of them have been linked with another club. Henderson's a decent keeper as well, and you can never underestimate the importance of a good keeper, as we found with Ali this last few years. There's always the kind of focus on the exciting players, the playmakers, and the goal scorers, and all the rest of it. But you can't underestimate the importance of a keeper, and I do think they've got a good one there. And I think that the club he originally played for, that let him go, is probably regretting that now, because they have lost a gem compared to what they've had since.
Right, the Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the Great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at anfieldindexpro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that, from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.